Listen closely, because this is the moment your life splits in two, the life where you chase approval and the life where you rise without permission. When you stop begging to be seen, you gain the power to become undeniable. When you stop explaining yourself, you gain the freedom to build yourself. Repeat this. You don't need their validation. You need discipline. You need direction. You need dominance. This audiobook is your reset button, your wake-up call, your line in the sand. From this moment forward, you detach from opinions, detach from approval, detach from weakness, and you dominate your world with quiet, relentless power. Chapter 1. Stop proving and start doing. You've spent too many years trying to prove yourself to people who aren't even paying attention. That's the truth. You've been performing, explaining, justifying, over-communicating, and hoping that anyone would finally look at you and say, "Good job." And every time you chase that approval, you lose power, you lose momentum, you lose time. Approval chasing is energy leakage, and energy leakage is the enemy of execution. You need to understand this from the very beginning. You don't need their permission. Let that land. Because everything changes the moment you stop performing for the crowd and start performing for your future. Most people don't realize how much of their life is shaped by invisible approval loops. They think they're making independent decisions, but they're actually making decisions based on imagined reactions, imagined criticism, or imagined applause. They're not acting, they're anticipating. And anticipation without execution is paralysis. You've lived this. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You feel the pressure to announce your goals before you even start them. You feel the urge to explain your plans to people who don't have the discipline to follow their own. You feel the fear of being misunderstood, underestimated, or dismissed. But here's the key. Every moment you spend explaining yourself is a moment you're not building yourself. That's the leak. That's the drain. That's the trap. Think about how much time you've wasted telling people what you're going to do. Think about how much energy you've spent convincing others that you're serious this time. Think about how many opportunities you've slowed down because you were worried about someone else's reaction. You don't need their reaction. You need results. And results don't come from proving. They come from doing. The social media illusion. Let's talk about one of the biggest approval traps of your era. Social media. It's the world's largest stage, and almost everyone is performing, not working, performing. You've seen the cycle. Someone posts a declaration. "I'm about to get serious." Big things coming. They get likes, applause, validation, and then nothing happens because the applause replaced the action. The validation replaced the discipline. The announcement replaced the work. That's the modern performance paralysis. You feel like you made progress because people reacted, but nobody reacts to actual progress. They react to announcements. And you've fallen into that loop more times than you want to admit. You post a plan before you commit to the process. You talk about goals you haven't even started. You announce habits you haven't mastered. And every time you do that, you trick your brain into believing you've already accomplished something. That's the trap. That's the mental lie. You must break it now, because here's the truth. Every time you seek approval, you weaken your execution. Not sometimes, every time. When you look outward, you stop looking inward. When you chase reactions, you lose direction. The discipline is simple. Do the work in silence. Let the results speak in volumes. Why approval chasing kills momentum. Approval chasing doesn't just waste time. It rewires your identity. It turns you into someone who moves only when someone else is watching. It turns you into someone who performs instead of produces. It turns you into someone who needs to be seen instead of someone who is building something worth seeing. And that's the key distinction. Winners don't chase attention. Winners generate impact. Winners don't explain. Winners execute. You might think approval motivates you, but approval actually dilutes you because it pulls your focus outward instead of inward. It makes you reactive instead of strategic. It makes you dependent instead of disciplined. You cannot dominate your life if you're addicted to the audience. And yes, approval addiction is an addiction. The dopamine hit from being accepted, the relief from not being judged, the fake confidence that comes from compliments. That's why you must detach. Detach from their praise. Detach from their opinions. Detach from their expectations. Because the moment you detach, you reclaim your power, the real-world pattern you must break. Let me give you the real-world pattern that keeps you stuck. You set a goal. You tell people the goal. They react. Good or bad, it doesn't matter. Your brain receives stimulation. Your discipline drops. Your consistency breaks. Your identity weakens. And then you repeat for years until your entire life becomes an endless cycle of ambition with no completion. That ends today because you're about to shift from proving to producing, from performing to progressing, from approval-driven to results-driven. That's the transformation waiting for you in this chapter. The Silent Execution Challenge. Now it's time for the practical part, the part that changes you. I call it the Silent Execution Challenge, and it's simple but not easy. Do the work without posting it. Do the work without announcing it. Do the work without asking for validation. Do the work without explaining your reasons. You have one job. Execute quietly and consistently for 30 days. No announcements. No teasers. No working on something big. No, I'll show you. No, watch me. No updates. No applause seeking. Just work. Just discipline. Just repetition. Why? Because when you remove the audience, your identity changes. You stop performing. You stop proving. You start doing. You start winning. You discover the truth. You don't need their permission. You never did. What you needed was focus. What you needed was silence. What you needed was commitment. And those things can only grow when the noise disappears. The identity shift. Silent execution forces you to confront yourself. There's no audience to impress. No comments to chase. No opinions to respond to. Just you, your discipline, and your results. And that's where self-respect is rebuilt. That's where momentum starts. That's where domination begins. Because you stop acting for approval and start acting for mastery. And mastery doesn't care who's watching. Mastery is internal. Mastery is quiet. Mastery is relentless. When you commit to doing the work without announcing it, you become someone different, stronger, calmer, focused, decisive, less reactive, more intentional, less emotional, more disciplined. That's the identity of someone who dominates their life. Chapter conclusion. You've just learned the first law of detachment. Stop proving and start doing. This is a foundation. If you can't detach from approval, you can't evolve into excellence. If you don't stop performing, you'll never start building. If you don't take back your energy, you'll never take back your life. You have a choice. Start today. Take the Silent Execution Challenge. Do the work. Quietly, relentlessly, for yourself, not for the crowd. Because the moment you stop seeking approval, you become unstoppable. And now that you reclaimed your energy, it's time to reclaim something even more powerful, your focus. Chapter 2, The Power of Strategic Silence. Silence is one of the most underestimated forms of power in your life. Most people think silence is weakness. They think silence means you don't know what to say, or you don't have a plan, or you're intimidated. But that's wrong. That's the illusion. Because silence isn't weakness, it's leverage, it's control, it's strategy. When you reveal less, people reveal more. That's the dynamic nobody teaches you. The less you speak, the more others expose. The less you react, the more others unravel. The less you explain, the more others guess, adjust, and reveal their intentions. Silence pulls information toward you. Noise pushes information away. That's the key. If you want control, you must master silence. Most people can't. They fear silence. They rush to fill it. They start talking, defending, explaining, justifying, rambling, all because they feel uncomfortable with the stillness. They don't realize something important. The person who breaks the silence first almost always loses power. Look at your own life. Look at how many times you said too much. How many times you reacted too quickly. How many times you explained yourself unnecessarily. How many times you defended yourself when no defense was required. And every time you did, you weakened your position. You handed over leverage. You made yourself predictable. You made your emotions visible. You exposed your insecurity. You have a choice. You can continue filling every quiet moment with noise, or you can start using silence as a weapon. And yes, silence is a weapon, a powerful one. Silence and negotiation. Let's talk about negotiation. One of the purest environments where silence decides the outcome. Not charm, not charisma, not volume. Silence. The person who stays silent longest forces the other person to reveal their bottom line. Here's how it works. You make your offer. You stop talking. You let the air hang. You let them feel the pressure. And they start filling the silence. They start explaining. They start giving away information. They start weakening their own position without even realizing it. Why? Because most people fear silence. They'll do anything to escape it, even if it means giving away power. You've probably done this without knowing it. You've accepted worse deals because you couldn't sit still for 5 seconds. You've raised your price and then immediately apologized for it. You've offered a boundary and then softened it because you couldn't tolerate the silence that followed. That's the flaw. But it's not about the flaw, it's about discipline. The discipline to stay still. The discipline to not fill the space. The discipline to wait. Silence is a negotiation tactic of people who dominate their environment, and you can become one of them. Silence in conflict. Now let's move to conflict. Silence in conflict is not avoidance. Silence in conflict is not weakness. Silence in conflict is the ultimate form of control. When someone tries to provoke you, they expect a reaction. Your reaction feeds them. It gives them information. It tells them your emotional triggers. It tells them your insecurities. It tells them exactly how to manipulate you. But when you respond with silence, calm, steady, deliberate silence, you rob them of the outcome they're seeking. Think about it. How many fights escalated because you spoke too soon? How many arguments spiraled because you reacted emotionally? How many conflicts could have been avoided entirely if you had just paused, observed, and chosen a smarter move? You don't need their permission to stay silent. You don't need to defend yourself on demand. You don't need to react every time someone pulls at your emotions. Strategic silence turns conflict into information. People expose themselves when you say nothing. They reveal their motives. They reveal their fears. They reveal their tactics. They reveal the truth. Silence shows you everything. Noise hides everything. That's the key. Silence in leadership. Now let's talk about leadership. Leaders don't speak to fill space. Leaders speak when it matters. A leader who talks constantly loses authority. A leader who reacts constantly loses trust. A leader who explains constantly loses clarity. But a leader who uses silence wisely becomes magnetic. When you're silent, people lean in. When you speak less, people listen more. When you hold your ground, people respect your presence. Silence creates gravity. Noise destroys it. You want to be the person in the room whose silence speaks louder than everyone else's words. You want to be the person whose calmness unsettles others. You want to be the person who doesn't need to assert dominance because your restraint already communicates it. Leadership isn't about volume. Leadership is about discipline. Leadership is about control. Leadership is about presence. And presence is built through silence. The 24-hour silence rule. Now, let's talk transformation. What you must do, starting now, you're going to adopt the 24-hour silence rule. And this rule will change your life. Here it is. Before you react, respond, defend yourself, explain yourself, or announce your emotions, wait 24 hours. No impulsive texts. No emotional paragraphs. No quick replies. No rushed decisions. No defensive explanations. No reactive comments. No, I need to say something right now. Silence for 24 hours. Not to punish, not to manipulate, but to gain clarity. Because silence creates distance. Distance creates perspective. Perspective creates intelligence. In 24 hours, you will notice something powerful. What felt urgent no longer feels urgent. What felt offensive no longer feels personal. What felt chaotic no longer feels threatening. What felt emotional no longer deserves your energy. You have a choice. You can be reactive, or you can be strategic. You can be noisy, or you can be powerful. Silence is strategy. Silence is discipline. Silence is dominance. The identity of a strategically silent person. When you practice silence, you will become someone new. You will stop explaining. You will stop defending. You will stop chasing. You will stop justifying. You will stop oversharing. You will stop reacting. Instead, you will observe. You will analyze. You will choose your timing. You will choose your words. You will choose yourself. Strategic silence makes you calm, measured, and unshakable. People won't know what you're thinking. They won't know how to influence you. They won't know how to destabilize you. You become unpredictable, and unpredictability creates power. That's the key. Chapter conclusion. Silence is not passive. Silence is not submissive. Silence is not avoidance. Silence is control. Silence is leverage. Silence is strategy. And now that you know how silence transforms negotiation, conflict, and leadership, you're beginning to understand a deeper truth of this audiobook. Detachment creates dominance. You have a choice. You can keep reacting, or you can start observing. You can keep explaining, or you can start mastering. You don't need their permission to be silent. You only need discipline. And now that you've mastered silence, it's time to master something even more powerful. Chapter 3. Control your attention. Control your life. Your attention is your most valuable currency. Not your time, not your energy, not your money. Your attention. Because wherever your attention goes, your life follows. Your outcomes follow. Your identity follows. You must hear this clearly. Guard your attention like your life depends on it. Because it does. Most people treat their attention like a public park, open to anyone, anytime, for any reason. Notifications can walk in. Gossip can walk in. Distractions can walk in. Other people's crises, expectations, moods, and noise can walk in. And they wonder why their life feels chaotic. They wonder why their goals feel distant. They wonder why their progress is slow. It's simple. Your attention is leaking. And every leak steals power. Every leak steals momentum. Every leak steals focus. Every leak steals discipline. You have a choice. You can continue letting the world pull your mind in every direction. Or you can take full control and dominate your attention like your future depends on it. Because it does. That's the key. Control your attention and you control your life. You are losing battles you don't even know you're fighting. Let's get brutally honest. You are in a daily war for your mind, a war for your focus, a war for your attention. Everything around you is engineered to distract you. Apps are engineered to keep you scrolling. Notifications are engineered to trigger you. Entertainment is engineered to hook you. Gossip is engineered to pull you in emotionally. Drama is engineered to hijack your mind. And you don't even realize you're losing the battle until hours are gone. Then days, then weeks, then years. Digital spirals are real. Social media loops are real. Emotional bait is real. Distraction addiction is real. You don't need more willpower. You don't need more motivation. You don't need more inspiration. You need discipline. You need structure. You need boundaries. Because it's not about your flaw, it's about your discipline. Digital spirals, the invisible trap. Think about this. You open your phone to check something simple, one message, one post, one notification. 40 minutes disappear. You didn't plan it. You didn't choose it. You didn't consciously decide to lose your focus. It was taken from you. That's the danger. You're not just losing time. You're losing direction. Every scroll teaches your mind to crave stimulation instead of achievement. Every distraction teaches your brain to chase dopamine instead of discipline. Every digital spiral conditions you to think short-term instead of long-term. If you don't control what enters your mind, the world will decide for you. And the world is not designed to make you powerful. It's designed to make you predictable. You have a choice. You can be the consumer, or you can be the creator. You can be the distracted, or you can be the disciplined. That's the key. Gossip loops, the cheapest form of mental entertainment. Now let's talk about gossip loops. Gossip is the junk food of the mind. It feels good, it tastes sweet, it keeps you busy, and it leaves you weaker. People waste their attention on useless stories about people who don't matter and situations that don't affect their lives. Gossip gives you the illusion of relevance. It gives you the illusion of being informed. It gives you the illusion of connection. But it destroys discipline. It destroys clarity. It destroys ambition. Every minute spent on gossip is a minute stolen from your mission. Every conversation about someone else's life is attention pulled away from your own. You don't need their permission to step out of gossip loops. You don't need their approval to disconnect. You don't need their validation to choose silence. You have a choice. Protect your mind or feed it garbage. Distraction addiction, the modern chain. You don't stay stuck because you lack talent. You stay stuck because you lack focus. You're not overwhelmed because your goals are too big. You're overwhelmed because your attention is too scattered. It's not about your flaw. It's about your discipline. You're disciplined to control your inputs. You're disciplined to ignore the noise. You're disciplined to choose what enters your mental space. Distraction addiction is real, and it is destroying your ability to concentrate deeply, think clearly, and execute consistently. Your brain is being rewired for chaos, for randomness, for impulsivity, for emotional reactivity. You must break the cycle. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now, because you have a choice. A distracted life is a powerless life. A focused life is a dominant life. The single priority focus. Now let's move to transformation, what you must do next. You're going to adopt the single priority focus. One mission, one target, one outcome. Every day, not 10 goals, not 5 tasks, not a crowded checklist. One mission, 0 negotiation. You pick one thing that moves your life forward. One thing that builds your identity. One thing that matters. One thing that demands your best. And you attack it with full attention, full discipline, full intensity. Here's why this works. The brain performs best when it knows exactly what to do. Clarity breeds power. Focus breeds momentum. Momentum breeds results. You're not failing because you're incapable. You're failing because you're deluded. Too many inputs, too many distractions, too many priorities, too much noise. The single priority focus cuts the noise. It forces discipline. It forces clarity. It forces execution. You don't need their permission to focus. You don't need their approval to say no. You don't need their validation to protect your attention. You have a choice. Choose your mission. Guard it with your life. Here's how you execute the single priority focus. Step 1. Every morning, choose the one outcome that will move your life forward the most. Step 2. Block one uninterrupted period where that mission gets 100% of your attention. Step 3. Turn off everything. Phone, notifications, noise. Step 4. Do not stop until the mission is completed. Step 5. Review it at night. Celebrate the discipline, not the outcome. Why? Because discipline builds identity. Identity builds consistency. Consistency builds results. That's the key. You don't need to do more. You need to do less, more intensely. Chapter conclusion. Your attention is a steering wheel of your destiny. Where it points, your life goes. Where it wanders, your life weakens. Where it focuses, your life strengthens. You have a choice. Protect your attention or lose your power. Guard your mind or let the world hijack it. Choose your mission or let distractions choose for you. It's not about your flaw. It's about your discipline. The discipline to eliminate noise. The discipline to ignore distractions. The discipline to control the one resource that shapes everything, your attention. And now that you've taken control of your focus, it's time to confront the next enemy of personal power, an enemy hiding inside your daily behavior, your impulses, and your patterns. Chapter 4. Stop negotiating with weakness. Weakness never walks up to you and introduces itself. It hides. It disguises. It pretends to be something harmless. It pretends to be logic. It pretends to be rest. It pretends to be taking it easy. But the truth is simple. Weakness hides behind excuses, and hesitation is self-betrayal. You have a choice. You always have a choice. And that's the key. Every time you hesitate, you break a promise to yourself. Every time you negotiate with weakness, you trade long-term strength for short-term comfort. You don't need their permission. You don't even need your own feelings' permission. You need discipline. Because it's not about motivation. It's not about energy. It's not about feeling ready. It's about discipline over feelings. Action over comfort. That's the key. Weakness thrives in micro moments, not big moments. Micro moments. The small decisions that happen in silence. The moments no one else sees. The alarm clock at 5 a.m. The workout you promise yourself you'd do. The conversation you've been avoiding because your ego is afraid. These micro moments decide who you become. These micro moments shape your identity. And every micro moment offers the same question. Who is in control? Your discipline or your weakness? When the alarm goes off, you have a choice. You can rise, or you can roll over. That may seem small, but it's not small. That moment is a vote for your future or a vote for your excuses. And that's the key. Your life is not built in the big victories. Your life is built in the tiny choices you keep pretending don't matter. When it's time to work out, you have a choice. You can lace up your shoes, or you can tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. But tomorrow is a lie you keep telling yourself because it's easier than doing the work today. And you know it. You know that delay is weakness pretending to be logic. You know that hesitation is self-betrayal, and self-betrayal compounds. Every skipped workout is another brick in the wall, separating you from the person you're supposed to become. When there's a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, you have a choice. You can step into discomfort, or you can hide behind silence. But silence is not peace. Silence is fear wearing a mask. Fear of judgment, fear of conflict, fear of responsibility. And every time you avoid that conversation, you reinforce the identity of someone who hides, someone who runs, someone who negotiates with weakness. You don't need their permission. You don't need comfort's approval. You need courage. You need action. You need discipline over feelings. Let's be clear, weakness will always try to bargain. It will offer deals. It will try to convince you that just this one time, it's okay. It will whisper rationalizations that sound reasonable. You're tired. You worked hard yesterday. You deserve a break. This isn't the right moment. But you must understand, weakness has one job, to delay your life. And every time you negotiate with it, you give it power. You have to shut the door on negotiation. That's the key. You need a rule, a hard rule. If it must be done, do it immediately. No second thoughts. No bargains. No internal debates. The mind loves to create debates. The heart loves to create drama. Weakness thrives in those debates. So don't give it a debate. Don't give it a conversation. Don't give it time. Time is where weakness grows. Action is where weakness dies. It's not about talent. It's not about intelligence. It's not about having the perfect schedule. It's about discipline. Discipline over feelings. Action over comfort. Consistency over negotiation. That's the key. You have a choice, and the choice is always the same. Will you honor your commitments or will you break them? Because every time you break a commitment to yourself, you weaken your identity. And identity is everything. The strongest people you've ever admired don't have superhuman qualities. They don't have more hours in the day. They don't have natural discipline. They have a simple rule. They don't negotiate with weakness. They act immediately, consistently, relentlessly. That's the key. Weakness tries to convince you that the hard things are optional. Discipline knows the truth. The hard things are the foundation. The hard things are the path. The hard things are the advantage. You can't keep waiting for the moment where you suddenly become stronger. You become stronger the moment you stop waiting. Let's talk about behavior. Practical actions, not theory. When the alarm goes off, get up. Don't think. Don't scroll. Don't justify. Stand up. Your body moves before your mind argues. That's the key. When you know you need to work out, put on your shoes immediately. Don't check your phone. Don't negotiate. Don't check your mood. You don't need your mood's permission. Your mood is not your master. Action over comfort. That's the rule. When there's a conversation you've been avoiding, schedule it. Put it on the calendar. Send the message. Don't think. Act. Because the longer you wait, the heavier the weight becomes. You lift it by lifting it, not by thinking about lifting it. When a task must be done, start within 5 seconds. This isn't magic. It's mechanics. It's the velocity of action. Weakness dissolves in motion. Hesitation strengthens it. You have a choice. Every second you hesitate, you deepen the rut of avoidance. But every second you act, you carve the pathway of discipline. You want transformation? You want real change? Then stop negotiating with weakness. Stop entertaining the excuses. Stop giving your comfort a vote in the decisions that determine your future. Your comfort has never built anything great. Your discipline has. Your discipline will. That's the key. You don't need motivation. You don't need inspiration. You need a rule, a code, a non-negotiable. If it must be done, do it immediately. That rule alone can rebuild your entire life because it removes hesitation. It removes excuses. It removes emotional interference. It puts your power back in your hands. And that's the key. Weakness is not your identity unless you let it be. Weakness is not your destiny unless you choose it. And make no mistake, you choose it. Every day, you have a choice. You always have a choice. And your future is built by the choices you repeat. So stop negotiating with weakness. Stop explaining your delay. Stop defending your comfort. Stop sabotaging your life with hesitation. Step into the version of yourself that acts. Immediately, decisively, consistently. That is the path. That is the discipline. That is the key. And now that you understand the war inside your micro moments, now that you've seen where weakness hides and how discipline destroys it, it's time to move deeper into mechanics of personal power. You've learned to act without hesitation. Good. Now let's talk about the force that separates amateurs from masters. Chapter 5. Your past is a reference, not a sentence. Your past is loud. It echoes. It lingers. It tries to convince you it has the authority to define you. But here's the truth you've avoided for too long. Your past is a reference, not a sentence. You have a choice, and that's the key. You can keep replaying old failures, or you can use them as fuel. You can stay stuck in a replay loop, or you can break the loop entirely. You don't need their permission. You don't need your past permission. You need discipline. The discipline to rewrite the story you tell yourself. Too many people live in self-imposed imprisonment, not because of what happened, but because of what they keep telling themselves about what happened. Obsession with past failure becomes a cage with the door already open. You're not trapped by the event. You're trapped by the interpretation. And that interpretation is a choice you make every single day. The past is a reference point, a lesson, a piece of data, but you keep treating it like a life sentence. You keep holding on to it as if it still owns you. It doesn't. It can't. It only has the power you give it. That's the key. You have a choice. Keep feeding the memory or start feeding the future. When you obsess over what went wrong, you strengthen weakness. When you obsess over how you messed up, you paralyze yourself with regret. Regret becomes your identity. Regret becomes your language. Regret becomes your default story. But that story is optional. That story is negotiable. That story can be rewritten. And the moment you rewrite it, your entire internal world changes. You must shift your mental script. Replace why me with what does this prepare me for? That simple shift transforms the past from a weight into a weapon. That's the key. Your past does not define your power unless you choose to let it. It's not about the failure. It's about the discipline to interpret the failure correctly. It's not about the mistake. It's about the discipline to extract the lesson. It's not about the regret. It's about the discipline to convert regret into preparation. You have a choice. And the moment you take ownership of that choice, everything changes. Let's talk about the dangerous cycle people live in. The why me cycle. It's a cycle that pulls your energy backward. It keeps you explaining instead of executing. It keeps you mourning instead of moving. It keeps you dissecting the pain instead of designing the future. Why me is a question of weakness. What does this prepare me for? Is a question of strength. That's the key. Every challenge you've lived through prepared you. Every failure gave you a tool. Every heartbreak sharpened you. Every setback toughened you. But you only gain access to that strength when you stop romanticizing your wounds. You have a choice. Cling to the pain or claim the growth. Your past is not your enemy. Your interpretation of it is. Your story about it is. The meaning you attach to it is. You don't need your past permission to grow beyond it. You need discipline. Discipline to see the truth. Your past is training. Your past is preparation. Your past is raw material. You choose whether it becomes armor or chains. People cling to the past because it feels familiar. Pain can become comfortable. Regret can become routine. But routine does not equal destiny. Familiar does not equal forever. You can break the pattern at any moment. You have a choice. That's the key. Let's get practical. Let's talk about transformation, not theory. Step 1. Identify the memory you keep replaying. Not all of them. Just the one that keeps showing up when you're tired, stressed, or alone. The one that whispers, "See, you always mess up." That memory is not the problem. The meaning you attach to it is. So rewrite it. Write down the lesson. Write down what it prepared you for. Write down how it made you stronger. This is not therapy. This is strategy. Step 2. Change your self-talk in real time. When you catch yourself thinking, "Why did this happen to me?" you must interrupt the sentence. Replace it instantly with, "What does this prepare me for?" This isn't positive thinking. This is disciplined thinking. It's the habit of champions. It's the habit of people who refuse to stay stuck. Step 3. Convert regret into preparation. This is where transformation occurs. Regret is energy. You can waste it or you can redirect it. Ask yourself, what can I do today that my past self didn't do? Action is the antidote to regret, not reflection, not analysis. Action, that's the key. Regret becomes preparation when you stop feeling sorry for yourself and start building the future your past self abandoned. You don't need their permission. You don't need perfection. You need movement. You need discipline. You need a new story. Here's the truth you must swallow. Your past is not holding you anymore. You are holding it. You are choosing to drag it into the present. You are choosing to let it speak louder than your future. You have a choice. Always. That's the key. Understand this. Most people never escape their past because they never confront the fact that they're addicted to it. They're addicted to the familiarity of disappointment. They're addicted to the comfort of predictability. They're addicted to the story that excuses their inaction. I can't move forward because of what happened. No, you won't move forward because you keep repeating what happened. That's the difference. Your past happened. It's done. But your interpretation, your story, your meaning, those are in your control. And that means your power is in your control. Your past does not define your power. Say it again. Your past does not define your power. That's the key. Some of the strongest people you know didn't escape their past by erasing it. They escaped by reframing it. They used the past as a reference. They used it as a lesson. They used it as ammunition. And you can do the same. You have a choice. When the past tries to speak, listen for a moment, but don't obey. When it tries to remind you of who you used to be, remind yourself of who you're becoming. When it tries to pull you backward, take one disciplined step forward. Forward is a choice. Forward is a habit. Forward is a discipline. That's the key. Your past experiences are not life sentences. They're chapters. Chapters that prepared you for the chapter you're writing now. You don't need to forget the past. You need to repurpose it. You need to redirect it. You need to weaponize it. Because everything you've lived through built you. Everything you survived shaped you. Everything you regret taught you. And it all becomes fuel the moment you choose to stop replaying it and start using it. Your past is a reference, not a sentence. You have a choice. That's the key. And now that you've freed yourself from the illusion of being defined by what came before, it's time to protect the most powerful asset you have moving forward. Your mindset, your energy, and the people you allow inside your world. You reclaimed your power. Good. Now let's talk about protecting it. Chapter 6. Pain is your ally. Comfort is the enemy. Pain isn't the problem. Comfort is. Pain sharpens you. Comfort softens you. Pain wakes you up. Comfort puts you to sleep. You have a choice. That's the key. Every day, you're either moving towards strength or sliding into weakness. And most people don't even realize they're choosing weakness because comfort disguises itself as safety, as peace, as reward. But comfort doesn't reward you. Comfort robs you. Comfort kills ambition one easy moment at a time. Pain is your ally because pain tells the truth. Pain tells you where you're weak. Pain tells you where you need to grow. Pain tells you where the work is. Comfort lies. Comfort whispers, you're fine, when your life is falling apart. Comfort whispers, you deserve a break, when you haven't earned anything. Comfort whispers, take it easy, when taking it easy is the exact problem. You have a choice, and that choice determines whether you dominate your life or drift through it. That's the key. Every champion understands this. Every athlete, every CEO, every soldier who performs at an elite level has one thing in common. They all embrace controlled suffering. They don't avoid discomfort. They chase it. They don't fear pain. They learn from it. They treat pain like a training partner. They understand a fundamental truth most people run from. It's not about talent. It's about discipline. It's not about comfort. It's about conditioning. It's not about how you feel. It's about how you respond. Look at high-performing athletes. They push their bodies past the point of comfort every single day, not because it feels good, but because it prepares them. They embrace soreness. They embrace fatigue. They embrace repetition. They don't negotiate with discomfort. They use it. They weaponize it. That's the key. CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, they live in mental discomfort. They face uncertainty every day. They face pressure every day. They face risk, responsibility, and criticism. But they don't hide. They don't collapse. They grow because of the discomfort. They make decisions under stress. They take action under pressure. They build resilience on purpose. They know that comfort kills risk tolerance, kills vision, kills momentum. And soldiers, some of the strongest minds on the planet, build their entire identity on the principle that discomfort is training. They endure cold, heat, hunger, exhaustion, and fear. They train their minds to stay calm in chaos. They train their bodies to follow commands even when they want to quit. They don't wait for comfort. They don't need comfort. They operate without it. They know that comfort weakens discipline. That's the key. So here's the truth you've avoided. Your life will not change until your relationship with discomfort changes. You don't need their permission. You don't need motivation. You need discipline. The discipline to choose a harder path on purpose. Because the harder path is always the path that builds you. Comfort is easy. Comfort is seductive. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it steals from your future. It keeps you average. It keeps you soft. It keeps you stuck. Pain is different. Pain demands your attention. Pain demands your energy. Pain demands you upgrade. Pain forces transformation. Pain forces growth. Pain forces clarity. Pain drives evolution. And evolution starts with a choice. The choice to stop running from discomfort and start using it. You have a choice. Let's talk about controlled suffering, intentional discomfort. This is where the transformation happens. I'm not talking about chaos or trauma. I'm talking about discipline-based discomfort, the type of stress that strengthens, the type of challenge that builds resilience, the type of pressure that shapes character. If you want to grow, you need discomfort in your daily life. Not once a month, not once a year, daily. Let's break down 3 powerful practices you can start immediately. Practice 1, cold exposure. Cold exposes weakness instantly. It reveals your relationship with discomfort. You don't negotiate with freezing water. You don't talk it into being warm. You face it. You breathe. You endure. You choose composure. This is psychological training disguised as physical shock. 2 minutes of cold exposure teaches you more about discipline than an hour of motivation videos. That's the key. You learn to control the mind when the body is screaming. You learn that discomfort won't kill you. You learn that you are stronger than your reactions. Practice 2, silent walks. Silence is discomfort for most people. They can't walk without music. They can't sit without scrolling. They can't think without noise. They fear their own mind. Silent walks teach you to face yourself. They teach you to hear your own thoughts. They teach you to separate impulse from intention. They build mental stamina. You learn to sit with boredom. You learn to sit with anxiety. You learn to sit with truth. Silent walks sharpen your focus. Silent walks cleanse your attention. Silent walks train your inner strength. That's the key. Practice 3, digital fasting. You don't realize how addicted you are to comfort until you take your devices away. Notifications are comfort. Constant stimulation is comfort. Endless scrolling is comfort. But comfort is the enemy. Turn it off intentionally. 1 hour, 2 hours, a full day if you can handle it. Watch how uncomfortable you become. That discomfort is withdrawal dependency, and dependency is weakness. Digital fasting reclaims your attention. Digital fasting strengthens discipline. Digital fasting puts you back in control. You have a choice. You always have. These daily practices are not random. They are strategic. They force the mind and body to adapt. They teach you how to stay calm under pressure. They teach you how to act without comfort. They teach you how to build resilience on purpose. Remember, it's not about ease, it's about discipline. It's not about comfort, it's about growth. It's not about feeling good, it's about becoming great. Comfort is the enemy because comfort freezes your evolution. You stop striving, you stop reaching, you stop transforming, you settle, you drift, you decay. But when you embrace discomfort, control discomfort, you ignite the internal engine that drives dominance. You unlock parts of yourself you've never accessed. You activate strength that comfort kept dormant. You don't need their permission to evolve. You don't need the world to understand your new standards. You don't need applause for choosing the harder path. You need discipline. That's the key. Understand this. People who dominate in life do not chase comfort. They control comfort. They earn comfort. They limit comfort. They use comfort strategically, not habitually. Comfort is a reward, not a lifestyle. When you train your mind and body to handle discomfort, you become unstoppable. Stress no longer breaks you. Pressure no longer scares you. Hard days no longer derail you. You become anti-fragile. You get stronger when life gets harder, and that is the ultimate advantage. Pain sharpens you. Comfort weakens you. You have a choice. Embrace discomfort now, so you can dominate later. Embrace cold. Embrace silence. Embrace discipline. Don't run from challenge. Run toward it. Don't avoid pain. Study it. Don't hide from discomfort. Train with it, because the more discomfort you conquer intentionally, the less chaos can control you. Pain is your ally. Comfort is the enemy. And when you finally accept that truth, everything changes. You've learned how to use discomfort as leverage. You've learned how to train resilience on purpose. Good. Now it's time to apply that strength to the people in your life. Chapter 7. Identity is a choice. Identity is not fate. Identity is not destiny. Identity is not something you discover after wandering around life waiting for clarity. Identity is a decision. Identity is a commitment. Identity is a choice. And you make that choice every single day. That's the key. Most people never understand this. They think identity is something that happens to them. They think identity is shaped by childhood, by environment, by trauma, by luck, by labels people gave them years ago. But that's not how identity works. Your past may explain you, but it does not define you. Your environment may influence you, but it does not control you. You have a choice. You always have a choice. And that's the key. You are who you repeatedly choose to be. Your identity is not built by your intentions. Your identity is built by your actions. Your identity is built by the habits you perform when nobody is watching. Your identity is built by the decisions you make when it's inconvenient, uncomfortable, or unpopular. It's not about talent. It's about discipline. It's not about labels. It's about consistency. It's not about who you were. It's about who you are choosing to become. You don't need their permission to become someone new. You don't need applause for reinventing yourself. You don't need validation to shift your habits, your standards, your direction. The world will always try to drag you back to who you used to be. The world loves a predictable version of you. The world fears a focused version of you. But you decide. You choose. Identity is always an act of ownership. Look around and you'll see countless examples of people who rebuilt themselves completely. Not because they found themselves, but because they chose themselves. They chose a new identity first, then behaved their way into it. They didn't wait for confidence. They didn't wait for clarity. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They made the choice first, and the identity followed. Think about the person who was out of shape for years, then decided, I am an athlete. Not, I want to be an athlete. Not, I'm trying to be an athlete. They said, I am an athlete. And after that identity shift, the habits changed. Wake-up times changed. Eating patterns changed. Social circles changed. Training intensity changed. Temporary motivation didn't change their life. Identity did. That's the key. Think about someone who switched careers at 35, 40, 50. They didn't magically become skilled overnight. They chose the identity of a builder, a leader, a creator. And then their mind followed the identity. Their habits followed the identity. Their discipline followed the identity. That's how it works. You choose it, then you grow into it. Think about someone who was socially anxious, then decided, I'm a confident communicator. That identity drove them into consistent practice. That identity pushed them into conversations. That identity forced them to improve. They didn't wait for confidence. They acted into confidence. That's the key. Identity comes first. Action follows identity. Results follow action. and transformation follows results. But here's where people break themselves. They say one identity but live another. They claim they want discipline but choose laziness. They claim they want success but choose distraction. They claim they want growth but choose comfort. They live in identity conflict. Who they say they are versus who they repeatedly choose to be. You have a choice. Always. That's why you need the identity alignment test. This is where the truth hits you directly. This is where excuses die. This is where confusion dissolves. Because you are about to examine what you say versus what you do. And only one of those determines who you really are. Here's how the identity alignment test works. Step 1. Define your chosen identity. State it clearly. State it boldly. State it without apology. I am disciplined. I am focused. I am resilient. I am a leader. I am a creator. Pick the identity that aligns with your highest potential, not your comfort zone. Step 2. Audit your habits. Look at the last 72 hours. Not your vision board. Not your imagination. Not your wishes. Your actions. Did your habits match the identity you claim? Because if the habits don't match the identity is a lie, and lies keep you weak. Step 3. Fix the misalignment. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today, change one habit, one behavior that contradicts who you say you are. If you say you're disciplined, wake up when you said you would. If you say you're focused, eliminate one distraction completely. If you say you're resilient, stop complaining about small challenges. If you say you're a leader, take responsibility first, blame last. Identity becomes real when habits match. That's the key. Let's break this down even further. If you say you're disciplined, but you keep negotiating with your alarm clock, your identity is not discipline. It's avoidance. If you say you're focused, but you check your phone every 5 minutes, your identity is not focus. It's distraction. If you say you want growth, but you choose comfort every time, your identity is not growth. It's fear. You have a choice. You always have. Upgrade the identity or downgrade the excuses. You can't keep both. The most powerful transformation you will ever experience begins with this single realization. Identity is not inherited. It's constructed. You build it through deliberate repetition. You reinforce it through daily behavior. You prove it to yourself through consistent action. It's not about the image you want others to believe. It's about the person you decide to become. When you choose your identity consciously, you stop drifting. You stop shrinking. You stop reacting. You start leading. You start executing. You start rising. That's why people who reinvent themselves become unstoppable. Because identity determines direction. Identity shapes standards. Identity drives decisions. And decisions shape destiny. Identity is the root. Everything else is the fruit. The truth is simple. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need their understanding. You need alignment. You need discipline. You need clarity. You need consistency. And all of that begins the moment you choose who you are. Identity is not about perfection. Identity is about intention. Identity is about alignment. Identity is about living the truth you claim, not the fantasy you admire. You are who you repeatedly choose to be. And today, you must choose power. You must choose purpose. You must choose the identity that elevates your life instead of repeating the identity that limits it. You have a choice. You've now learned how identity shapes discipline, focus, and behavior. Now it's time to weaponize that identity in the face of emotion. Chapter 8. The discipline of emotional control. Your emotions are not the enemy. Your obedience to them is. That's the truth most people never learn. And because they never learn it, they walk through life enslaved by reactions they could have controlled. They burn relationships. They sabotage opportunities. They surrender to impulses that cost them years. Here's the reality you must swallow right now. Emotions are signals, not commands. That's the key. A signal is information. A command is obedience. You have a choice in which one you treat your emotion as. And yes, you have a choice. Even when it feels automatic. Even when it feels overwhelming. Even when the story in your head is screaming louder than your logic. Every time you let your emotions tell you how to behave, you trade your power for comfort. And comfort is the enemy. You learned that in the last chapter. Now you're going to learn what happens when comfort meets emotion. Your life becomes reactive, not intentional. Let's make this very clear. It's not about perfection. It's about discipline. Emotional control isn't about never feeling anger, jealousy, frustration, or fear. Emotional control means you choose your response before your emotion chooses it for you. That's the key. That's the power. That's the shift. Emotions are signals, not commands. When you feel anger, pause. When you feel jealousy, pause. When you feel hurt, embarrassed, overwhelmed, pause. Why? Because the pause gives you back the steering wheel. Weakness reacts. Strength responds. You have a choice. Most people live their lives like a match waiting to be struck. One insult and they explode. One disappointment and they collapse. One fear and they retreat. That's not lack of intelligence. That's lack of discipline. Remember this. Reacting is easy. Responding is power. And power is something you build through repetition, through intention, through the discipline of emotional control. It's not about being naturally calm. It's not about being born stoic. It's about training yourself to stop handing your piece to every situation that pokes you. Real scenarios where emotional discipline wins. Let's break it down. Because you don't get better at emotional control by understanding the theory. You get better by seeing exactly where you lose control and deciding to respond differently. Scenario 1, the argument. Someone raises their voice. Your chest tightens. You feel the heat rise in your face. You want to snap back. You want to defend yourself. You want to win. Pause. Why? Because reacting makes you predictable. And predictable people are easy to manipulate. Say nothing for 3 seconds. Breathe. Decide, what outcome do I actually want? You don't need their permission to control the energy in the room. You have a choice. Scenario 2, jealousy. You see something that triggers insecurity. You imagine the worst. Your mind plays movies that aren't real. Pause. Because jealousy is not a command. It's a signal. A signal that you need boundaries, self-respect, clarity, or healing. But you don't solve jealousy by reacting to the emotion. You solve it by confronting the truth behind it. That takes discipline, not emotion. Scenario 3, frustration. You're stuck in traffic. A project goes wrong. Someone disappoints you. Frustration storms in fast. Your body wants to lash out. But frustration is just a signal that something in your environment isn't matching your expectation. Pause. Breathe. Redirect. You have a choice. Always. Scenario 4, impulsive decisions. Buying something out of stress. Quitting too quickly. Sending the text you'll regret. Walking away from something you haven't even tried to fix. Impulses will destroy you faster than external enemies ever will. Because an impulse lasts seconds, but the consequences last years. Pause. 3 seconds. That's all it takes to interrupt the pattern. And when you interrupt the pattern, you interrupt the weakness. The 3-second rule, your new discipline. Here it is. Simple, direct, non-negotiable. The 3-second rule. Pause for 3 seconds before you respond to any emotion. 3 seconds. That's the battlefield. That's where you win or lose. Why 3 seconds? Because 3 seconds is long enough to interrupt the impulse, but short enough to execute immediately. You breathe, you check your posture, you remind yourself. Emotions are signals, not commands. And then you choose a response that reflects the identity you're building, not the identity you're escaping. Control the emotion, control the outcome. Repeat it. Let it burn in your mind. Control the emotion. Control the outcome. Your life will change when you stop letting emotions dictate your behavior. Your relationships will change. Your career will change. Your confidence will change. Your results will change. Because the world listens to the person who controls themselves. The world respects the person who responds with intention. You don't need their permission to set the tone. You don't need their agreement to protect your peace. You don't need their support to stay disciplined. You have a choice. Always. The identity behind emotional control. Emotional control is not a tactic. It's an identity. You are who you repeatedly choose to be. And if you repeatedly choose reaction, you become a slave to emotion. But if you repeatedly choose control, you become the master of your life. It's not about being unemotional. It's about being unshakable. It's not about suppressing emotions. It's about channeling them. It's not about your anger. It's about your discipline. That's the key. Identity before action. Action before emotion. Emotion before reaction. This is a sequence of strength. Practical training for emotional control. Here is what you will start doing today. 1. Practice the 3-second rule in every heated moment. Arguments, stress, uncertainty, pressure. Pause for 3 seconds. 2. Keep a reaction log. 1 note in your phone. Every time you reacted emotionally, write down what triggered it, what emotion you felt, what you should have chosen instead. Awareness builds discipline. 3. Replace I feel with I choose. Say out loud, I choose calm. I choose clarity. I choose discipline. Emotions lose power when you take responsibility for your response. 4. Protect your physiological state. Sleep, hydration, food, breath work. Your body fuels your emotional control. Don't sabotage yourself before the battle starts. 5. View every emotional trigger as training. Every moment you're triggered is a moment to strengthen your identity. You don't need their permission to level up. You have a choice. And repetition builds mastery. The transformation. Emotional control is freedom. Freedom from reactivity. Freedom from sabotage. Freedom from the past versions of you that couldn't handle pressure. You're not that person anymore. You're not driven by chaos anymore. You choose who you are. That's the key. And when you choose emotional discipline, your world changes because your behavior becomes intentional instead of impulsive. Remember this. Control the emotion. Control the outcome. Your power begins in the pause. Your identity is built in the pause. Your future is protected in the pause. You have a choice. Choose the version of you that leads. Chapter 9. Build mental armor through environment. Your environment is not neutral. It either strengthens you or it softens you. That's the brutal truth most people refuse to face. They think the problem is external, but it's not. The problem is their environment. And more importantly, their reaction to it. If you stay in the same environment, you stay the same. Repeat it. Burn it into your mind. If you stay in the same environment, you stay the same. This is not negotiable. You have a choice. Every single day, the people you associate with, the places you spend your time, and the media you consume are programming your brain. They are either building your armor or corroding it. And here's the key. Most people are completely unaware of the slow erosion happening around them. You've heard before, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's not a cliche, it's a command. And if you don't heed it, your mental fortitude, your focus, your discipline, all of it will suffer. Your environment either builds or breaks you. Think about your daily routines, the spaces you occupy, the people you tolerate, the noise you allow in your mind, toxic coworkers, the ones who complain without action, the ones who drain energy and inspire nothing, messy spaces, cluttered desks, unorganized rooms, chaotic surroundings. Every visual distraction chips away at your focus. Noisy digital inputs, social media, News cycles, unfiltered messages, notifications pinging every second. Your mind doesn't stand a chance. And yet, people cling to these environments as if survival depends on it. It doesn't. You have a choice. Let's make this concrete. If you walk into your workspace and immediately feel tired, irritated, or distracted, that's your environment signaling failure. If you scroll your phone for hours and feel drained, defeated, or anxious, that's your environment controlling you. If you sit next to people who gossip, complain, or drain your energy, that's your environment weakening your armor. It's not about bad luck. It's not about the circumstances you were handed. It's about discipline. And discipline begins with your choice of environment, the consequences of neglect. Here's what happens when you ignore this lesson. You become reactive, not proactive. Your focus diminishes. Your mental clarity disappears. You get stuck in loops of distraction, comparison, and weakness. All of it is preventable. All of it is your responsibility. And all of it is within your control. No one else is going to build your armor. You must do it yourself. You don't need their permission. The environment audit, your weapon. Here's the strategy. It's simple, brutal, and non-negotiable. I call it the environment audit. Step 1. Identify one toxic person. Someone who drains energy, mocks your goals, or fosters negativity. Distance yourself immediately. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. You have a choice. Use it. Step 2. Identify one bad habit. Scrolling social media for hours. Overreading when stressed. Watching hours of unproductive content. Remove it immediately. This is not optional. This is armor. Step 3. Identify one distraction. Noisy notifications, chaotic workspace, clutter. Clean it, organize it, simplify it. The space you inhabit shapes the quality of your thoughts. Do this every week. Repeat weekly. Your environment is not static. Your discipline shapes it. Real-world examples. Think of elite performers, CEOs, athletes, and leaders. They don't leave their mental state to chance. They design environments that make them unstoppable. A top executive blocks distractions ruthlessly. No unnecessary meetings. No toxic advisors. Every interaction serves a purpose. Every input has a filter. An Olympic athlete structures their home, gym, and recovery environment to eliminate weakness. No clutter. No unnecessary noise. Every element trains focus. A military leader eliminates anything that could compromise clarity in battle, physical and mental. Chaos is controlled. Attention is honed. Weakness is removed. The lesson is clear. Your mental armor is only as strong as the environment you construct. Behavioral transformation. Build your mental armor. Here's how you implement this in real life. 1. Conduct your first environment audit today. Identify one person, one habit, one distraction to remove. Don't overthink it. Action matters more than analysis. 2. Control inputs, control outputs. Everything you allow into your mind, conversations, media, sights, sounds, matters. Filter ruthlessly. If it doesn't contribute to strength, remove it. 3. Design spaces that foster discipline. Clean your workspace. Organize your living area. Eliminate clutter. Your environment should scream focus, not chaos. 4. Reevaluate weekly. Habitual audits reinforce your mental strength. You don't stumble into discipline. You cultivate it. 5. Associate with warriors, not whiners. Your closest ally should challenge you, inspire you, elevate you. If someone consistently weakens your mindset, remove them. You have a choice. Remember, it's not about avoiding discomfort completely. Some challenge is necessary, but it's about avoiding unnecessary chaos, toxicity, and distraction. That's the difference between strength and weakness. The identity of environmental discipline. When you control your environment, you reinforce your identity. You are not a victim of chaos. You are a master of input. You are a curator of mental armor. Every choice you make, what you watch, who you speak to, where you spend time, signals who you are becoming. And identity is built through discipline, not wishful thinking. If you stay in the same environment, you stay the same. That's the key. Repeat it. Burn it into your mind. Change your environment. Change your life. Final transformation. By auditing and controlling your environment, you eliminate external weakness. You reinforce focus and discipline. You amplify every other lesson in this book: emotional control, identity alignment, attention mastery. This is how warriors are made. Not through luck, not through motivation, not through permission, through deliberate, consistent environmental design. You don't need anyone's approval. You don't need to justify your choices. You have a choice, and that's all that matters. Transition to Chapter 10. You've built mental armor. You've mastered your environment. You've strengthened your focus, discipline, and resilience. Now it's time for the final step, the step that unites every principle we've covered. Chapter 10. Master your mind, master your life, the ultimate transformation. Because when you control your inner world, the outer world bends to your discipline. Chapter 10. Master your mind, master your life. You have reached the final frontier. The ultimate battlefield isn't out there. It's in here, in your mind. Every victory, every failure, every feeling of power or weakness starts in the mind. Thought control equals life control. Repeat it. Burn it into your awareness. Thought control equals life control. Chaotic thoughts produce chaotic outcomes. Disorganized thinking leads to indecision, anxiety, and missed opportunities. Weak minds become weak lives. Strong minds become strong lives. That's the key. Everything you've learned so far, silence, attention, emotional discipline, identity, environment, prepares you for this moment. Every lesson is a tool to shape your inner world. And the truth is simple. If you master your mind, you master your life. The core principle: thought is power. Thought is the silent architect of your reality. What you allow into your mind becomes your default reality. Worry, doubt, fear, they don't just exist. They shape your day. They dictate your actions, your choices, your energy. Focus, clarity, intentional thought, they don't just feel good. They create outcomes, results, and power. It's not about talent. It's not about opportunity. It's about discipline. Mental discipline. You have a choice. Every moment, your mind asks a question. What will I focus on? You answer, either consciously or unconsciously. That answer creates your reality. Weak people answer unconsciously. Strong people answer intentionally. That's the key difference. The daily mental command ritual. To take command of your mind, you must practice deliberate mental discipline every day. I call this the daily mental command ritual. It has 3 steps. Simple, but not easy. Step 1. Set your intention. Before the day begins, decide what you will dominate your mind with. This is not a vague wish. It's not hope. It's an intention, a command. Example: I will focus solely on growth today. I will respond to challenges calmly without emotion. I will strengthen my discipline in every decision. Repeat it, visualize it, lock it into your awareness. This becomes your internal compass. You have a choice. Make it intentional. Make it dominant. Step 2. Choose your dominant thought. Your dominant thought is the lens through which you view the world today. It is a filter for every interaction, every decision, every action. Ask yourself, what is the one thought I will allow to govern my mind today? It might be discipline over distraction, action over comfort, strength over weakness. Once you choose it, guard it ruthlessly. Every stray thought that weakens, distracts, or demoralizes must be caught and replaced. Every single time. It's not about the world telling you what to think. It's not about validation. It's about controlling the narrative in your mind. You don't need their permission. Step 3. Nightly review. Before sleep, review your day. Examine your thoughts, actions, and outcomes. Ask, did I uphold my intention? Did my dominant thought guide my decisions? Where did I waver? Where did I strengthen my mind? Record it mentally or physically so you can track progress. This nightly review cements mental discipline. It makes the invisible habits of the mind visible, accountable, and trainable. You have a choice. Every day, a new chance to control your mind. Every night, a chance to correct course. The final transformation. This is the pinnacle of everything in this book. Think back. Silence gave you leverage. Attention taught you what truly matters. Discipline stopped you from negotiating with weakness. Emotional control freed you from reactive slavery. Environment strengthened your mental armor. Identity anchored all of it. Now, all these lessons converge. Your mind is your ultimate battlefield. Every tool, every principle, every exercise have prepared you to dominate it. When you master your mind, fear loses power, doubt loses control, chaos becomes manageable, decisions become clear, results become inevitable. This is not theory. This is applied mental warfare. And it's the last step between you and a life built on purpose, not reaction. Behavioral instructions for mastery. Morning command. Immediately upon waking, recite your intention and dominant thought. Visualize the day ahead as if you are already victorious. Throughout the day, catch stray thoughts that weaken or distract. Replace them with your dominant thought. Pause, reflect, reassert control. This builds mental muscle. Consistency is your weapon. Evening audit. Conduct your nightly review. Write down successes, failures, and areas for adjustment. Commit to correcting course tomorrow. Every day, this ritual compounds. Slowly, invisibly, relentlessly, your mind becomes unshakable. Your focus, unwavering. Your life, aligned. Reinforcement through repetition. Repeat after me. You have a choice. Thought control equals life control. You don't need their permission. It's not about talent. It's about discipline. Every day, I command my mind. Every night, I review it. Burn this into your daily practice. This is the invisible foundation of all achievement. This is the silent engine of dominance. This is what separates the reactive from the proactive, the weak from the unbreakable mindset. Once your mind is mastered, attention is selective, not scattered. Emotion serves you, not enslaves you. Identity aligns with action. Environment strengthens, never weakens. Habits reinforce discipline, not laziness. All that remains is execution. You will act, you will decide, you will win, and no external force can stop you because the ultimate battlefield, the mind, is under your control. Final challenge. This is where you stand today. You've learned the lessons. You've built the foundation. Now it is your turn to apply and force and live them relentlessly. Master your mind, and you master your life. Every decision, every thought, every day. No excuses, no hesitation, no approval needed. You have a choice. You have the tools. You have the discipline. It's time to act. Command your mind. Control your life. Dominate your destiny. Conclusion. You just learned what most people will never master. The discipline of staying calm. Calm isn't soft. Calm isn't passive. Calm is lethal. It's the power to think when others lose control. It's the ability to move with precision while others drown in panic. It's the strength to say nothing when silence is louder than words. Every day you will be tested by people, by pressure, by chaos. And every time you'll have a choice to react or to remain composed. Choose calm, choose clarity, choose control. Because the world doesn't belong to the loudest person in the room. It belongs to the calmest one, the one who thinks clearly, moves intentionally, and stays still while everyone else breaks. Master your calm, and you master your life.